Hello and welcome. I'm James Baggott, and today we're talking about AI and how it can help improve your dealership, a subject very close to my heart. It's something I've been experimenting with my AI car dealership project series, which you can watch on this YouTube channel. But today we're going to be talking about some practical tips on how you can actually deploy it in your dealership with Impel's James Leese. James, hello, how are you?
Good morning. Very well. Thank you, James. Yourself?
Very good, thank you. Thanks ever so much for joining us on this sunny day.
Pleasure.
Very much looking forward to this conversation. But I mean, let's just start and just explain to people what Impel can do for car dealerships out there.
Sure. Okay. Well, so Impel, we're a US-based business. Been operating in the UK now since 2017 through our reseller partner Gardex. People probably know us traditionally as Spincar. So we used to develop, or we still do develop, 360-degree imagery of vehicles, internal, external, and then that has enhanced over the last 5 years to then start looking at more AI-based solutions. So in effect, we provide dealers with a customer lifecycle management platform, retailers, OEMs, specialty businesses as well, where it enables them to enhance and enrich the consumer experience on their websites. It's all digitally focused. We're exclusively automotive. So really enriching that experience for the consumers when they're searching for used cars. And that then developed into actually how do we then support and nurture those customers that may be in market for more than 2 or 3 days? And actually, how do we utilize technology to support our customers on that journey? So how do we help them do more with less, I suppose, is a good way of putting it. And how do we enrich that customer experience so we give great customer experience, and hopefully that leads into more appointments and ultimately help them sell more cars or service more vehicles or buy more cars through our car buying applications.
I don't know about you, James, but I'm constantly having conversations with car dealers about AI and about how they can deploy it in their dealerships. What can it actually do? And I've been trying it, as you well know,
Yep.
experimenting with it myself. There are some things it can do. There are some things it can't. But I mean, perhaps we could just give those people listening and watching to this an idea of what AI can do for automotive retailers now.
Absolutely. Well, I suppose the first thing to point out is there's AI is a term that's being bandied around a lot at the moment, and actually AI and large language models, algorithms have been in our industry for years. So people have been using it, but actually then with the emergence of Chat GPT and these large language models that have come out, generative AI opportunities has really driven AI to the forefront. But actually it means different things to different customers, to different businesses, and the way it operates. The way we look at it is that our solutions are designed to do probably three things. One of them is about actually how do we help dealers nurture more leads. So we ran some mystery shopping probably 18 months ago, where we went out and tested the UK market and we submitted leads into UK car dealers. So about 200 dealers, we submitted leads through Auto Trader and through their own website, and we asked three simple questions. We picked a particular vehicle. We asked three questions. Does this car come with Apple CarPlay? Do you do home delivery? And are you up for a deal? And then we just sat back and waited for responses. Now, unsurprisingly, we got responses back pretty quickly, about 90 minutes to get a response. 10% never responded at all. And actually, we only on average got about one of our questions answered. So people tended to come back and go, "Hey James, thanks for your inquiry. Yes, it's got Apple CarPlay. When do you want to come in and test drive it?" Well, I actually asked two other questions and you haven't answered those. And then deliberately we didn't respond back to see how long we got followed up for. How long did they try and nurture us for? And on average, after 2 days, that lead is marked lost in their CRM system and they move on to the next. So what it made us, and what we understood, was that dealers don't have a problem generating leads. They spend huge amounts of money on generating leads. They get tens of thousands of leads. Well, they have a bad job, or what they're not particularly good at doing, is nurturing those leads. So one of the key things we looked at is actually how do we help our dealers nurture those leads? So when they're looking at implementing this into the systems, into their businesses, one of the things we talk about is what's your current lead to appointment ratio? So how many leads do you get in, these expensive leads? How many do you actually convert to appointments? We saw somewhere in the UK, it's somewhere between 5 and 20%. that they convert into leads. So one of the key drivers for us is how do we improve that through nurturing those customer conversations. So the way the AI is really good at doing that is actually the AI can outreach to those customers over a period of time. So ours has a cadence of 51 days. It doesn't reach out every day. It reaches out slightly different messages. So it will answer those customers' questions, answer any other questions they've got, and then at the appropriate time, hand them off to the human. Because the human is hugely integral still to selling cars. We know that, and actually that's why aligning good technology and great people together is the perfect solution. So one of the key drivers is actually how does it improve your lead to appointment ratio, which hopefully will help you sell more cars. The other one is about generating better customer experience. So we know that 45%, and it's growing, of leads that are submitted into car dealers globally sit outside of traditional business hours. Now, at the moment, the best response you'll get is probably some sort of automated response to say, thanks very much, we'll be in contact tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Well, actually, you know what? That may not work for me because I'm working now. So actually having AI can answer those questions 24/7. We see lots of conversations going on with consumers and the AI at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. They're asking those questions. Has it got Apple CarPlay? Do you do finance? Are you up for a deal? The AI is able to answer those. And then when the customer's ready, then goes, great, we've answered those questions, James. Do you want to come in tomorrow morning or Thursday for a test drive? And then the last area is about efficiencies. At that point I said earlier about how do you do more with less? We know that more important than ever is about efficiencies and cost controls within businesses. And actually, so what we look at is actually how can let the AI do all of those sort of tasks that perhaps humans aren't good at or don't enjoy doing, and let them do the things they are good at. And actually, how you then decide how you realign that efficiencies is up to our customers. But actually, what we find is that what we see is the AI is working these leads, then hands them off to the salesperson. Salesperson has got more time now to manage that customer, deal with them when they come in for the test drive, spend more time on the phone. So we see actually phone call rates go up inside dealerships, appointment rates go up, and ultimately, as the data is showing us, our customers using AI are selling more cars.
I see your point very clearly when it comes to answering those questions outside of hours. A lot of inquiries I've taken are always outside of hours, and it's only because I care so much that I've sat there waiting to answer them. But I could see where AI would be helpful. Another example is I inquired on a BMW for my brother with a BMW main dealer. This was during business hours. I didn't even get a response to a text and an email. So I can see where AI would have just been able to answer those simple questions for me and others. Give me some examples, James, of some dealer groups that are using this at the moment and how they're doing it.
So we've got probably 13, 14 dealer groups utilizing AI in the UK. And now actually that's there's sales AI that I've referenced earlier on. Or sorry, we have a sales AI solution, we have car buying, service AI, and then there's a chat solution as well. So now the ones that are utilizing our sales AI solution, actually they're doing it in different ways. Because I think what you find at the moment is because this is still so new, everyone is unsure about really how this fits into their business. And what we say is, well, actually, don't jump in both feet, because actually this is a fundamental change to the way your business operates. You need to train and educate your salespeople, because sometimes they jump in before they should and they stop the AI, and that conversation then ends up all over the place. So what we're saying, or the customers we work with, is that some of them are using it from the very outset. So what I mean by that is actually they're letting the AI manage all of the leads that hit their business, out of hours, in hours, whatever. Now, they haven't gone straight to that point. What we tend to do is we tend to run proof of concept with our customers over a period of several months, where we say, okay, well, let the AI just manage a certain lead source or some of your sites, not all of your sites. That allows you then to make sure we embed it correctly, because it does require points of integration, which I'm sure we're touching on in a minute. And also for your people to understand how they now interact with the AI and when it hands it off. So they start off small, just letting it manage a few leads, whether they're the Auto Trader leads or their website leads. And then what we find is then they start getting the confidence in it and seeing the results, and it grows from there. So we've got some dealerships that are relatively new with us, and dealer groups where they are just utilizing it either for certain lead sources, or we've got one dealer group who said, actually, I'd love to test it on all those leads where where my sales staff have said they're closed, lost. Well, actually, let the AI rework those. Let's see how many of them open them up. And actually, we're already seeing a good percentage that are engaging with the AI, so they're not lost leads. We got some people who said, actually, can you just let it work the out of hours leads? So in all of these cases, we're confident and we're happy to sort of go on that journey with our customers, but it ultimately ends up in one place where they let the AI deal with everything, because then it gives it that consistency and flow. Because there's nothing worse than if you just manage the out of hours ones, and then that customer comes back into the process during the day, and now the AI is not engaged with it. The salesman doesn't know what the AI has been talking about, and it can all get a little bit confusing. So we say actually manage it from the very beginning. But you, again, just getting out there, having a play with AI and seeing what it's capable of, I think is a great step forward for anyone.
James, what do the customers think of it? I mean, I can see how it's a massive advantage to the dealers. Do the customers even know they're talking to AI?
It's a good question. When we first set up the AI for our customers, they have the option of calling their AI whatever they want to. So you can be very open and say, "This is James, I'm the AI assistant from Clever Car Company," or Clever Car Collection, or it could be actually it's Alice or it's Sophia. Interestingly enough, what we have found, the data shows us that actually, if you call your AI a woman's name, you tend to get better interaction than you do if it's a man. Take into that as you will. But actually, what we're seeing is that lots of conversations where we're not, or where the customer isn't saying it's AI up front, is people are having conversations they wouldn't know it was AI. So there's many conversations we use in some of our demos when we go out and talk to customers about this, where you can see the transcript of the conversation, and you categorically can see there's no way they know it's AI. In fact, I think they're looking at using it in one of our marketing campaigns soon. Actually, the transcript of this conversation gets to a point where you think the next conversation that's going to come out, this particular prospect customer is probably going to ask the AI out on a date. I mean, it gets to that point that the AI can show empathy, it can have a reasonable conversation. So yeah, I don't think we've not found anyone yet who hasn't enjoyed their conversation with the AI. It can be frustrating sometimes if it can't give you the answer, but that's about how you train it, develop it, and give it access to the right information. But I think, it's down to our customers if they choose to say this is an automated assistant or an AI, or just some people call it a sales executive.
James, what are the big dealers then thinking for a vision of the future for AI? I mean, we're really much in the infancy of it now, aren't we? In terms of it being deployed to automotive, what are the grand plans? Can you give away any of the secrets?
I think, well, where we're working with some very large dealer groups in the US, and some of the conversations we've had with some of the large dealer groups in the UK, they're looking at actually have they got resource and capabilities to develop some of these things themselves, which is understandable. They do that a lot, and when we sit down and talk to them about it, I think where their heads at is actually there's a great opportunity right now to utilize some of the technologies in market to do more with less, better customer experience, convert more leads into appointments. But where they're starting to think much bigger about this is actually how do they develop an AI solution that actually can join the customer on the journey no matter where they are across their business. Now, AI is very capable of doing those things today, but what it lacks is actually the access to the data and information. As you see, if you go into ChatGPT on OpenAI, you see the amount of information you can get back very quickly. And I know you've used it in your business. Actually, it's really impressive, and it blows you away how quick and how comprehensive it can be. That's because it's got access to all of this information on the internet. So it's got billions and billions of records to go and look and analyze and then produce its response. The trouble with that is actually it can hallucinate, so you can get wrong information as well. So that's why you should never go off and try and plug one of these large language models or ChatGPT into your website. It needs to be controlled. So where these large dealer groups are looking at is saying, well, actually, how do we give the AI access to the information we want it to have? So what they're starting to look about is large customer data platforms. So actually things I'll use a word like Salesforce. Everyone knows Salesforce for its scalability and the size of it. But actually, how do dealers start creating that level of platform and customer information so they understand everything about from the customer when they were a prospect, what car they're driving, how many miles they're doing a year, when do they come in for servicing, even down to things like how do they like their tea and their coffee. Well, actually, if you've got all of that information in one place and you can feed that in and put an activation layer and a communication layer like AI over the top of it, that becomes hugely powerful. So a lot of these large dealer groups are looking at that to say, actually, how do I really enrich the data and information I can give to the AI? Because at the moment, it's sporadic in the information it can get. You've got challenges with integration because, as we know, as much as a lot of the businesses out there, the large platform providers talk about being agnostic and integrating with many providers, it is still a challenge to do that, and lots of legacy data and information. But once someone cracks that bit and you get access to all of that really rich information, you could create something very special.
I mean, you've touched on a few of the challenges, those sort of friction points, as it were, there. Um, I mean, I've certainly experienced a few others when I've been, and I've only been using ChatGPT, and like you say, it has its own restrictions, doesn't it? Give me some examples of just some of the things that dealers do need to be aware of if they're thinking about adopting AI.
So the things you need to think about are actually, you want it to be having the right conversation with your customer. So actually, things like just giving it access to correct information to be able to answer the questions. Also, access to good information, because what you don't want is someone interacting with an AI that then becomes hugely frustrating because it doesn't answer my questions. We've seen those before with some chatbots and various other things that are so templated because they're so controlled, it never answers my question. It's a complete waste of time, and it becomes even more frustrating than if you had nothing at all. So the things you got to think about are that actually, how do I give access to the AI to have those conversations? So we have things like inventory file feed, so we can understand everything about the new car and used car stock that dealers have, so we can answer those questions. We have access into CRM systems where we have the appropriate integrations, so we can get information out about the customer and the lead and the information and the questions they've asked. We then have our content management system, which is where we train the AI on how to answer questions specific to those customers. So those questions such as, do you offer part exchanges? Do you do home delivery? What are your servicing hours? Can I sit and wait while you service my car? So as long as you're working with a provider that can give you the ability to do those things, that's great. You then got to make sure you're working with a provider as well that takes security really seriously, because we've seen examples in the US where, there's lots of clever people out there that will go out and try and trick the AI into giving it an answer that it wants. And you've seen it in the US where someone managed to trick the AI to sell it a car for $1. Well, actually, unless you've got some security layers and wrappers around that, as we call it jailbreak, actually you need to make sure that you've got that, because plugging in just a generative AI solution, chat GPT, whatever it may be, into the front of your platform is not a wise move. I get it, you want to trial and test it, but actually you need to do it in a secure way. Otherwise it can become quite costly and expensive to your business.
James, give me some ideas, and those people watching this of some practical applications of AI that they can consider, and how they should evaluate them.
So from our perspective, if you look at something like sales AI, so that's about how do you let a generative AI solution nurture and manage your leads as they come in. So as I alluded to earlier, why not have a go with that from a perspective of let it look at certain lead sources. You can measure it against the efficiencies of your current team. You can actually really see the value of that product. You can do it in service as well. So it's a slightly different. So now rather than a lead comes in, this is now an outreach program. So it will mine the data in your DMS system. It'll start looking at campaigns, which dealers should you reach out to, then let the AI reach out to them, engage with them, bring them back into your business. Again, another relatively one to understand the return on investment, because you just look at, have my repair orders and my work through my workshops gone up? And then obviously there's chat as well on the front of the websites, which is another one, which is, there's plenty of providers in the market looking at chat solutions at the moment. But again, what I'd say to anyone, because that's probably one where it's less, it can be quite impactful. It's on the front of your website. It potentially needs less integration because it's dealing with chat at the front end. But actually, that one is great from a perspective of answering those customers' questions when they come on board. Again, it's understanding the measures you want to put in place about how effective is it. Am I generating more leads? Is it answering the customers' questions? Is it becoming more frustrating? So I think that if I was now talking to a customer and asking and giving them some examples of what they could do, I'd say look at some of that lead activity to start with, because again, I'm sure that when people look at their own data, somewhere between 5 and 20% of leads you're activating into actual appointments. Actually, there's potentially 80% there that you could go out and could do a better job with.
James, absolutely fascinating stuff. It must be really rewarding being at the forefront of something very, very innovative for the motor trade. So thank you ever so much for giving up your time today. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, James.
Thank you. That's James Leese from Impel. So if you'd like more information on Impel, it's impel.ai is their website. And to follow our car dealers' AI journey, you can subscribe to this channel. And for the very latest car dealer news, log on to cardealermagazine.co.uk. Thanks ever so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.